Hello and welcome to IBTV. Today I want to welcome a couple of special guests in the professional rankings of boxing. Now we know boxing is a very tough game. We know that boxing right now is hungry for talent, hungry for showmanship, hungry for real champions. We just in an era where we want to do that. I've got an exciting fighter with me today, and you're going to find out. I'm Aurelio Martinez, and I'm with IBTV. And let me introduce, here to my left, I've got Leroy Miller. Leroy Miller is the head coach, trainer. I like to use trainer because that's what we do in the professional rankings. We don't have coaches. Coaches are for the amateurs. We have trainers, okay? And the man of the hour, the man that puts it all on the line, Mr. Jesus Vasquez. Okay, Jesus Vasquez is 6-0 as a professional. He's got an outstanding amateur pedigree. I mean, he's 6-0 as a professional, and as an amateur, I can't count him on my hands and feet. Okay, so he's been to the nationals several times. He's won several national championships, been to the Olympic trials a number of times, and now as a professional, it shows. Let's talk about your last fight, because your last fight is a big fight. Okay, in anyone's career, anyone that's just moving up, you got 6 fights, you're 6-0, and in this last fight, you fought someone everybody knows throughout the country, Rob Frankel. Okay, Rob Frankel is a veteran. And when I say veteran, I don't want to say old and washed up. The man is still fighting on your top-ranked cards and your golden boys. He's out there on TV. I mean, he's definitely something to be reckoned with. And as a matter of fact, you just fought him and won. That was what, unanimous decision?
Yeah, unanimous.
Okay. So, I mean, big win. Many people here in town didn't think you were going to win. They thought it was too soon. You know, a guy with 6 fights fighting someone with over 60 fights. Someone's been in there with contenders, champions in the world. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll ask your coach the same question. But why take that fight so early in your career?
Mm-hmm. Well, when it was first brought to us, me and Leroy talked about it, and we're like, this is a good opportunity, a good chance to show, you know, everybody that, you know, we're ready, we're on that level, we're ready for the next level too. And yeah, I only had 5 fights when I fought him, but like, people forget, you know, like the amateur record that I had. So I think that helped me out a lot, definitely. Even though I only had 5 fights.
Amateur record, you've had what, 60, 70 amateur fights?
No, I had a 180.
I told you, man. See, and they talk about the fighters overseas, you know, like the Lomachenko's and the Connors and all that with the, you know, 300 amateur fights and stuff like that, because out there, that's all they can do. You got someone here in the United States got 180 fights, close to 200 fights. The man's serious, okay? Serious business, and he can show you. Y'all have to watch him. Y'all have to watch him. If you haven't, you got to follow him. You, as an amateur, I think you competed at 26 pounds.
Amateur 123.
123, okay. And as a pro, I know you started at 126, and I think you'd like to somehow go back there in talking with your coach, but. The opponents are thin at 126, you know. So you fought Frankel at what, 35?
135.
Okay. What's the ideal weight that you want to kind of settle into your professional career?
Well, we wanted 126. I definitely see myself becoming champion 126 or 130. But we're thinking maybe, I don't know, maybe 130. I'm not sure yet, but definitely 126 or 130.
I think that's a good idea. Leroy, tell us a little bit. You tell us a little bit about this fight with Frankel. You're the coach, the trainer, the manager that kind of watches the career. why go into a fight with an experienced fighter, a seasoned fighter, someone that's not washed up, still in his prime in boxing, like Rob Frankel, and give up the weight?
First of all, I have all the confidence in the world in Jesus. I've been around and been working with him so long. I know him inside and out. So when I first thought about this, everybody in the pro ranks knows that you need to go to the next level. You can't stay at that bottom level. You gotta take that challenge. You gotta want to move up in the ranks. So when I first mentioned this fight opportunity to Jesus, I can tell right away, he wanted it. It wasn't me. It was him. I know him. I know his demeanor. I know everything about him. And he said, "Oh, that sounds good. Let's do it." So I knew at that point in time that there was no fear factor, nothing to worry about, that he can take this challenge. So it was a good camp from there on, knowing that this is what he wanted. So in saying that, we're ready to roll. We're ready to roll. Jesus is ready to roll. So we're looking for challenges to move up the ladder and get his rankings.
Now, who do you see? What's the next step? I mean, obviously he just fought a week or so ago.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the next step? You're looking forward to putting him right back in. You want to get back into training, work as a trainer. You want to get back into the training gym, work on a few things that you feel he can capitalize on from the Rob Frankel fight. Or tell us what's next? What's going on?
There's always room to work on technique and to do those things. With some kind of way, we got to figure out where we're staying in conditioning shape, and also meet that challenge of working on technical, because we can always get better. But we're looking to fight. So we're looking for opportunities for promoters, to contact us. And of course, we know you do shows, so we want to, get on some of your shows. We just want to stay active.
Yeah.
We want to stay active.
Well, good. Jesus, your preference, would you like to just get back in the gym? I mean, back into the ring, competitive? I mean, you're getting close to double digits now, okay? You're 6. 4 more fights, you're in double digits. And as a rule of thumb, you get into double digits, so does the opponent, so does it should. There's some guys out there that go into their 20s and 30s and they still haven't fought anyone with a winning record. But you get into double digits, okay? Now the prospect kicks in, where you're a prospect fighter and the contender is dangling right above you. You're in double digits, so opponents that you fight are also in the same category of trying to make it into that, from prospect into contender. So naturally, you get into bigger fights where you're going to be more noticed on the thing. You feel you're ready for that now? You feel you're ready to take that step and say, hey, show the world that I'm ready to compete for the big time?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this last fight, definitely I made a statement, beating Rob by unanimous decision. And yeah, I would like to get right back in there.
Okay. I'm going to ask both of you guys a question, okay? Because Jesus got a fantastic background in amateurs, and now it's following him into the pros. And I know for a fact that it's been very disappointing, because you've had fights that continually fall through, okay? Regardless of what happens, the opponents pull out or something or other happens, but the fight doesn't happen. And I've been in the game for a long time, 4 decades, and I know what happens, because you can call a fighter, whether it's East Coast, West Coast, South or North or whatever it is, and the first reaction is, yeah, I'll fight him, okay? But once they start to do their research, something always comes up. Can't fight. Hurt my hand. My butt hurts. Something. Because you get a lot of butt hurts in this game. Okay. A lot of folks afraid to lose their undefeated status. A lot of boxers are afraid to lose their undefeated status, but they're not willing to take that commitment and learn and become a contender. Okay, so tell me, how has it been frustrating for you that these fights, constantly you try to make them and then they don't happen, and another month passes through, another month passes through. How do you feel about that, and what can we do to try to alleviate that whole situation?
Well, first it was frustrating, and then I realized it's really nothing that you can do about it but to keep working, to keep putting it on out there. And you're absolutely right. Once they find out his background, there is some suspicious or pullouts, but at the same time, we just keep our heads up, what you have to do, and we keep moving forward. And believing. We believe in ourselves, because like you said, Jesus been around. He didn't fought on the East Coast in the amateur ranks. He done fought in the West Coast. But there are some people don't know who he is, and you're right, when they do the research on him, they find out what a good fighter that Jesus really is. So all I want and all I hope and pray for is that we get the opportunity to move up that ladder, because Jesus has fought some of the greats in the amateur ranks, from Tio to Gomez to Baldero. So we've been in there. We done that. So we fear nobody in Colorado. We just want to fight and bring him on up to where he deserves his soul to be.
Teofimo Lopez, huh? When did you fight him?
I fought him at the National Golden Gloves. Way back.
That's one fighter that made the breakthrough now.
Mm-hmm.
Now he made the breakthrough, and he's way up there in the contender status, and you got to kind of like that someone takes that risk. But there again, he made the move, just like you're making your move, where you're saying, okay, you want to fight? Let's get on the table. Let's work out what we have to work out. Because in this game, Leroy, as a manager, and you, people always want to get the advantage. So they'll be calling you to fight at 40, but you're a natural 26 pounder. Okay, so you're gonna fight at 40. The guy's gonna come into the ring at 50, 55 pounds. It just doesn't work that way, But they'll try to do that to you. So, who else have you fought in the amateurs that you might name?
I could say Rashid. I fought Rashid Warren.
Okay.
I fought when I was 17 years old. And I did pretty good.
Well, you've seen a lot of top caliber fighters. So now that it's taken over. Next fight that you see coming. Naturally, we talked about you wanting to come back closer to your weight. 126, 130, and you want to stay there. What kind of opponent are you guys looking for? Leroy?
Yeah. We're looking to hopefully fight at our weight, because it can get, I don't want to say difficult, but sometimes you just get tired of fighting at 8 pounds over, 10 pounds over. So to really judge where Jesus is at this point in time, at that 126, maybe even 128, I'd like to see a good fight at that 128.
Well, there's a few even in this region, in this Rocky Mountain region. When you talk about Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico,
yes,
Montana, there's a lot of good fighters. I mean, Nebraska, you got a couple that fight in that weight that would make good fights. Well, I'm wishing that good luck. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about the styles. Okay, I know firsthand. Jesus, talk to the public out there and describe your style of boxing.
I'm a boxer puncher. I like to move, not get hit and not get hit. Basically, that's my style.
Your favorite punch?
My favorite punch. Everyone always says I have a really good jab, so I'll probably go with the jab.
Okay, yeah, you use that real good. That's probably why you work your distance real well. Leroy, what would you say as a trainer? What's his good punch? What's his money punch?
His money punch, And he loved this one too, is the jab, left hook, the hook off of that jab, left hook. Uh, we, it's hard, sometimes you don't want to put it out there, but everybody knows, Jesus can fight. Orthodox right hand, he can go southpaw, there's no use in hiding it.
Well,
He
I
trains for everything, outside fighting, inside fighting.
I've trained a lot of good fighters, including Donald Combat, and I won 5 titles, WBC titles.
Yes,
And people would always say, why you put out there his style and what's good and stuff like that? Because you may know what's good, what he's doing. The key is, can you avoid it?
Right.
As a fighter and as a technical fighter like you are, Jesus, you know the punch is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, can the other avoid it? It's up to you to get that opening. And Leroy, as a trainer, you know that every punch a boxer throws can be countered with multiple punches. Okay,
Correct.
if someone throws a right hand, straight right hand, their power punch, you can come with them with a hook. You can come with there's a multitude of counters. Okay, and that's something Jesus has a gift. Okay, he don't only look for one counter, which is the what everyone says. Someone throws a jab, try to go over the top. Everyone says, okay, well, you know what you're looking for. But when you have the 2 or 3 or 4 options, because there's an option, and he knows what he's doing in the ring. Okay, so you throw your jab, it doesn't mean he's going to try to counter you over the top. Okay, he may use the angle, come at you and catch you and pick up that chin. So I mean, you got to see this guy. He's really technically sound. I mean, and when you keep your opponent guessing, and Jesus, you do that. You keep your opponent guessing because he don't know. In boxing, there's a filling out round. Everyone tells you use that first couple of rounds filling out to see what your opponent has and what he does. Well, they can take the 2 filling out rounds with a boxer like Jesus, and it doesn't mean that that's what they're going to see. All they're going to do is confuse themselves. Let me ask you, Jesus, when you get in the ring, the first 2 rounds, what do you use them for? I mean, do you get aggressive? Do you get a feeling out round? Do you try to read your opponent? Tell us how the first 2 rounds are when you get in there.
Definitely, just like reading them, see what they have, see what they're doing wrong, see what I can hit them with, what they can't hit me with. Just like trying to figure them out, basically.
Leroy, same thing with you. As a coach, you're in the corner. You're watching your fighter. You're watching the opponent. Them first 2 rounds, which kind of can lay the platform for the rest of the fight. What are you looking for?
I keep the instructions real simple, very simple, because when you've been with Jesus as long as I have, I trust him. I tell him to go out there and do what you do, because he knows me and I know him. And I trust him. I trust him to go out there and know the game, to relax, and I just trust everything he do, because he's a smart fighter. Not only, like you say, his favorite punch X, Y, and Z, he's a smart fighter. So that's where I just give him the latitude, keep my instructions simple, and then he go out and he do the rest.
That's good, and that makes it easy, especially when you have, I've always said that because people talk about, you take Manny Pacquiao, people talk about it when they say, well, this trainer did that, Freddie Roach did this, and his other trainer did this, and all that. Well, as trainers, okay, now I'm retired now, but as trainers, you're still working. As trainers, when you got a fighter that has the talent, okay, it makes it easier.
It does.
Because the fighter is the one that gets in there. And with this experience, you got close to 200 amateur fights. There's not a lot that's going to be new to him in the ring. Now, let me ask you that question direct. Okay, Rob Frankel's got a ton of experience and has different styles. Okay, when you got in with Rob Frankel, did he show you anything that you haven't seen? Did he come in there and kind of surprise you with any kind of his movement or punches or anything like that?
I was a little surprised, man. I didn't know he was such a good counterpuncher. especially in the later rounds. And just his composure, he's really composed, man. Like, he stays in his game. He was real focused. Things like that, like I'm like, I look up to because like that comes with experience.
It does. It does. And you know the experience factor, and that's why the later rounds, the championship rounds, always favor an experienced fighter, is because they figure it out by then. They figure it out, and you know they know whether they have to get aggressive and throw the power punches, or they kind of figure out your style, and they can come out and counter, do a lot of good countering, and that's what brings the experience, and that's really what people need to be impressed by your win over Rob Frankel. You know, many upcoming fighters have taken the challenge against Rob Frankel, and they've all been surprised because too soon, too quick, too soon, and without that background, you did. And with Jesus, your experience itself showed. It showed. I mean, it really did. From the amateur work, yes, it's amateur, but it's still action in the ring. And you came through in flying colors. I mean, it wasn't like it was even close. I mean, you went in there and you did what you had to do, and really you showed your fan base that you're for real. You're for real. I mean, so how do you feel about your career now? Where do you feel you're at your stage of your career? Do you want to kick it into a higher speed? Do you want to keep going and then kick it up? Just kind of give us some of your feeling. You know, a lot of folks out there don't know in the mind of a boxer. But, kind of give us just a little overview.
Well, I think this win definitely put me in a better place, a better position, and we're just gonna have to see where we go from here. Me and Leroy haven't even talked about it yet. We haven't really talked much about the fight or anything or what's gonna happen after, but we'll probably sit down probably this week and see where we go from here.
Well, it happens. You take a fight, you usually take a week or so off to enjoy and relax and be with your family, and that's standard, you know.
And I definitely feel like we needed like a little bit, like a break, like a week or whatever, because we were training for that last fight in December too, and we went all the way through. Like we didn't even take a break after we found out the fight fell through. We just kept going.
Yeah.
Which I think actually helped me too with this fight. You know, I was in tremendous shape.
Yeah. Leroy, tell us a little bit about the next steps. What training-wise, what are you going to get him to start?
Well, what I love to do, we'll stick to our regular, routine of training and preparation. But I appreciate, the interview. That's the first and most thing, is to get his name out there and let the people know that Colorado have a great fighter here in Jesus. Watch him, see his style, and try to appreciate him, because he only come around, his type of talent only come around once in a while. And speaking of, Don was a good mover,
yep,
and a good boxer, yep, and that's what we try to fit into, and people enjoy a good fighter, and somebody who's out there understand the game, who can move around and do all the aspects of the game, not just in there punching and brawling. And Jesus fit that bill. So we just want the public to get out here and know who he is, and from there, then you can appreciate the talent that he has.
Great, and I'm happy to do that. I mean, obviously, exposure is everything, yes, for a talented fighter. If nobody knows who you are or anything like that outside of your body or where you live, then you really don't excel. But with the exposure, people start seeing you. Like I said, East Coast, West Coast, yes, South, North, and they start to say, well, let me look this guy up. Let me see when I can see him fight. I wanna. So they'll go in, you look up the YouTube fights, they'll see this, and before you know it, you got a huge fan base that's looking at you. So, everyone didn't know Canelo when he was just coming up. People didn't realize who Pacquiao was until he had his wars with Marquez and the Mexican fighters. But that's how it comes in this game. When people know who you are, they want to see that. They want to see. Talking about the old fighters, Jesus, who growing up as an amateur in the game, getting into boxing, who were some of the boxers that you idolized?
I think when I first started boxing, the guys that were around that I looked up to was like Oscar De La Hoya, like Tito Trinidad, Fernando Vargas, Roy Jones Jr., Floyd Mayweather, stuff like those guys.
All good talent, man. All good talent. You know, Oscar coming out of the amateurs into the pro was probably one of the best there was in the game. You know, Floyd Mayweather again. Just everyone knows what he was about. I mean, he was the man with the shoulder roll and made you pay. I mean, Tito, well, he had that shotgun. He had that Tommy Hearn style. And it's kind of nice to talk to a youngster like this and look at his idols, because if I'd asked you the same question, who you gonna say?
I'm gonna start off with Muhammad Ali, and get more to his generation. I'll probably go, like Roberto Duran and Tommy Hearn, Sugar Ray Leonard, but back in our days.
See, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Duran. I'm gonna say Salvador Sanchez. I'm gonna say Wilfredo Gomez. People out there can say who?
Ray Leonard.
Yeah, but okay. Now, moving into nowadays, active fighters. Who are the gun ones you like?
I was telling her probably just Canelo. I think.
Well, you can't help being a Canelo fan. I mean, the guy. And it's kind of funny because when Canelo first started, I would get a little irritated with him because he wouldn't give us the fights we wanted, and then I would say, man, why doesn't he fight someone? Then he came out with the Canelo weight, And looking in hindsight to where he's at now, where he's just beating everybody up, it's part of the process and the avenue of moving up. Now, back in them days when I was complaining and a whole lot of other complaining, if he'd have jumped in there over his head, we wouldn't have a Canelo that we have today. So it's part of the process. But you're right. I think Canelo right now, active fighters outside of Manny Pacquiao, have to be up there.
Yeah, man, he's still fighting.
Have to be on the top. And you got to put your hands down for Pacquiao. Tip your hat to him because Pacquiao's in his 40s now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still taking anyone and everyone. I mean, it's one of them things. And how do you see the non-Americans that have come in and made a name? And I'm talking about the Lomachenko's, the Connor, the Irishman. I didn't forget his full name, but anyway, what do you think about them fighters?
I think Lomachenko's an incredible talent, man. He's like something we've like never seen before in boxing. I think he's one of a kind, and there'll never be another Lomachenko. He's just something. He's got to be the definition of the Matrix, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got the movement, and moving boxing movement is everything.
And then to have a country behind you like he does, and like Connor and them. That's awesome.
They support him.
Mm-hmm.
Fight coming up. Let's see if I can get your prediction with the big boys. Wilder and Tyson. How do you see that fight?
I'm thinking Tyson's gonna get him. Tyson I like him. He's slick. He moves. He hits. He avoids getting hit, and I just think Wilder's gonna be just swinging in the air. And he's just gonna be outboxing him.
Your take on that fight?
I love boxing. My focus is right here.
Okay.
I really don't try to keep up, what's going on with other things that don't affect us. That's just me. My focus is right here, but I really truly don't know on that one.
I'm not going to disagree with Jesus. I think Tyson has always been pretty elusive for a big boy. And what I was really impressed was in that first fight, he got knocked down pretty hard, and I don't think there would have been another fighter that would have got back up and fought, you know, and he did, and that takes big ones.
Right.
Okay,
It looked like he was out.
Oh, he
looked like he was
yeah.
getting up.
I mean, amazing how he came back, and I think if he's learned anything from that first fight, I think you're right. I think he's got a very excellent chance of how to avoid, because Wilder is all about power, and if he hits you, he's going to hurt you. Okay, so, but what happens when he don't hit you? Now we've all seen Wilder get hurt. You know, he's got some heart. Okay, because he's been hurt. Ortiz in that first one, and where a lot of folks are saying that Wilder got a little break from the referee and it should have been stopped. So Wilder got a lot of heart and got a lot of chin, and what helps Wilder is he honestly believes he can't be beat. Okay, and that's a lot. It's going to take someone to overcome that. And you're right, it may be Tyson Fury. So I'm kind of looking forward to that fight. Should be forward to that fight. But anyhow, let's come to closing. What do you have to say to the people out there for your fighter, Leroy?
Just watch Jesus on Facebook. Follow him on Facebook. Follow him on your channel, and get to know him. He's a good fighter. He's a great, better person.
Okay, good. Jesus, any shout outs? Anything you want to say?
No, just thank you for all the support to all my fans. Keep supporting me. I'm gonna keep fighting for you always. For all my Latinos, gracias por todo. And just follow me on social media. Jesus Vasquez Jr. on Facebook. Instagram is Real Sabroso. So just thank you for everything.
Good, guys. You can always find updates on IBTV, Inside Boxing. We kind of like to give all the fighters the exposure they deserve, and more than that, we like to give the fans, boxing fans all across the country and worldwide, an opportunity to see what's up and coming, who's out there, so they can not have that narrow-minded where they only have to watch and follow fighters that they see on Showtime or ESPN or Premier Box, you know. So we're giving the alternative for these young guys to show what they have, because a lot of times they don't ever get that possibility to go out there, but that's good. But anyway, guys, and saying, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. Plan to have you guys here more and more as you grow and get closer to that championship status, Jesus. We wanna keep everyone informed, so we'll have you back.
And thank you,
Thank you.
BTG.
You got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank
Leroy,
you.
Jesus, thank you very much. Stay tuned to IBTV, ibtv.us. Always check it out, insideboxing.com, and you'll be able to follow Jesus, some of the things that are coming up for him. Follow Leroy's fighters, of course, all the local fighters in this region, as well as upcoming fighters throughout the country. We're here to show you what's out there, all right? Y'all have a good night, and come back for the next segments of our shows.